Take back your soul. This is another transmission from Mahadeva here at ThunderWizard.com headquarters, where you find the world's only unified spiritual energy system at ThunderWizard.com. Get ready, because here I come. Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and you are an infinite being quantum folded into a human body, and the heart is where you truly reside. Your essence is in your heart. We call it the soul, and the soul is home. Your home is the soul. So I wanted to continue my discussion on accessing the multidimensional beings out there. I do believe that we are headed into a time where this will become common knowledge, that we don't live in a universe. Science is no longer going to be about understanding the laws of the universe, but we will understand that this, especially Earth itself, is one dimension among many that is intersected by many other dimensions. And our ability to be conscious of or interact with these other dimensions has everything to do with our conscious vibration. I say that and I wince as I say it because it sounds so new agey, and this is behind a lot of the everything is love and light and just focus on love, and there's a lot of intellectualization. You are your thoughts, which is just another way of trying to control the universe through your thoughts, which is, when you're just focused on the intellect, it is a way of avoiding the heart center, avoiding the emotions. So a lot of the good spiritual sounding stuff that you hear out there, just focus on good thoughts, the power of the mind over matter. While there's truth in those things, the unfortunate fact is that many people hear that and interpret it through their addiction to their intellect. So before we start talking about the heart, let's talk about what is the intellect. So the intellect is the software that allows you to completely identify with this specific vibration, which when you vibrate at the level of four-dimensional space-time, we call it 3D, but it's actually 4D. 3D, 3 dimensions plus time gives you 4 dimensions. Within 4-dimensional life, you manifest in 4 dimensions when you vibrate at a certain energetic vibration. This is done unconsciously. Nobody is conscious of this. If you want to really enjoy some meditations and some contemplations that will be very helpful in understanding this, you can read Carlos Castaneda's work. Not his last book. His last book starts going into some weird monotheist kind of weirdness. And just to be clear, Carlos Castaneda was a narcissist and a fraud, and he was a very destructive human being. But Like many narcissistic, destructive cult leaders, he channeled some extremely powerful knowledge. And the way he concocted it in his mind is that on the spinal column there is a ball of perception. I keep forgetting what he calls it. But depending on where that ball is on your spinal column will determine what you experience. And if you, through changing your vibration, can move that ball of perception, then you might disappear and end up in another dimension altogether. And so this is what, his entire, and again, very brilliant, living impeccably, what he calls, impeccable living, which really has to do with not buying into being a victim, not buying into being a victim of circumstance, all that stuff. So, the stuff that he downloaded, he thought he was making stuff up, but the truth is he was downloading a lot of this. It's very brilliant in terms of how to use your behavior to change your vibration. And that it wasn't about what you think, it's about what you do that changes the vibration in you. And anyway, I remember when I was reading his stuff, not knowing anything about, he was still alive at the time, and I remember reading his books voraciously while I was doing the Mao Shan, as a matter of fact. I was doing the Mao Shan practices while I was reading it. And just being able to fully give myself to those, maybe we should just, maybe one of these times we'll read aloud his stuff on here. I don't know if I can get away with that or not. Maybe, if I can get away with it, maybe we'll do it. But I remember looking at that stuff and having experiences as a result of putting those things into practice. But the heart center is not the intellect. So the whole point of that was to say that thinking is not what this is about. Controlling your thoughts is not what this is about. The intellect is software in your brain. So your brain is the computer hardware. By the way, your mind is not in your brain. If you open up the brain looking for the mind, you won't find it. It is not in the brain. There's a reason why this is called the heart mind. There's a reason for that. The brain is the computer, and the computer doesn't function without software. The software for the brain is the intellect, what most people think of as the mind. In the Western world, when people talk about the mind, they mean the intellect. The Latin word for intellect is intellegere, which means to pick apart from among. Those of you who speak Spanish, you will know that that's very similar to the Spanish word to read, which is leer. So leer means to pick apart. Intellegere means to pick apart from among. So when you read, which is Latin legere, to read, you are picking apart, because when you look at Latin inscriptions, they don't separate words, they don't have punctuation, so there's just this long line of Latin letters, and you have to pick apart the words from within all of these interconnected letters. So it's legere. When you're reading, you're picking apart. That is exactly what the intellect does. To know, just where I am now, as I'm sitting here, I've got my laptop in front of me, and there's a table. I've got my fruit there, and there's a fake flower thing there, and the door is right there. All of that is because my intellect has decided, based on the energy that's around me, has decided to manifest this room. Now this room is going to look the same to you and to me because we will see the same energy, and our intellect, which functions on this 4D plane, will take all of this information and manifest this particular house. So your intellect that tells you what side of the street to drive on, you know, how to tie your shoes, what is good, what is bad, all of these thoughts is a way for you to manifest and solidify a specific vibration which we call planet Earth. It's a specific dimension. We are programmed to do it. Our bodies vibrate on this level, which is why, if you think about it, if you go out in nature and you see a wild animal, you might be frightened, but it won't mess with your reality. And that's because that animal happens to vibrate on the same Earth 4D level as you and I do. You know, this is an aside, but I recommend everybody go and watch a YouTube channel called Billy Speaks, Billi Speaks. It's a cat, and it's nothing new, but this woman has, you know, all of these buttons laid out on the floor, and she's taught her cat to communicate with words, and the cat will communicate very intricate concepts about time and other things, like when is so-and-so coming home, and I want this, and you're making me mad, and I'm sorry, and I love you. And, you know, really concepts that I just never thought that cats could comprehend. The cat fully understands English. You know, you can speak to the cat totally understands. And then we'll go and then, you know, we'll communicate whole thoughts. And it's got me completely, you know, I mean, animals are people. You know, their brains and their intellect don't have all the same wiring as ours do. They don't have vocal cords and things like that. But they're fully capable of interacting and responding at the same complexity as we are from an emotional standpoint, which is your mind. So I forgot what I was saying, but this 4D plane that we call Earth is a vibration. And your intellect, your thoughts, is what creates this vibration. So since your thoughts, which are powered by your intellect, and your intellect is tuned to this vibration. So this idea of trying to use the intellect to go to some other vibration doesn't work because it's a software. The intellect, no matter how hard you use it, will only vibrate on the level of 4D Earth. So if you want to go to another dimension, which vibrates at a different level, then you have to use different software. We have that. It's called the Shin, the heart mind, where your soul is, the heart chakra. This can be used as a gateway because only through the heart can we vibrate at different levels. I was going to say the reason why wild animals don't frighten us is because even though they're different from us, even though they're scary, even though they might, you know, a crocodile or a lion or a shark, you know, might eat us and that might scare us, they vibrate at Earth's vibrational level. So we don't lose our cohesiveness in this vibration. But when this reality, our 4D Earth reality, that when our dimension is intersected by another dimension, a higher dimension especially, and we happen to interface with them, seeing them physically will cause us trauma. And the trauma is because they vibrate at a different reality. And that is traumatic to our physical bodies. It's traumatic to our intellect. And so that is why interaction with beings like Bigfoot, with other intra-dimensional beings, so-called aliens, gods, goddesses, things like that, these have such a traumatic effect on us because we are now affected by their higher vibration, which is a totally different dimension. There's another thing that goes on, which is the way that we see them. When we look at them and we see them in a certain manifested form, that is actually an interplay between our psyche trying desperately to conceptualize this being that's actually beyond our dimension. We're trying to conceptualize it, and all humans will do it the same way. If you and I are standing next to each other and an interdimensional being, which may be pure energy, interfaces with our dimension, you and I will both see it as a big alien with giant eyes, or we'll see it as Bigfoot, or we'll see it as whatever. And that is because in order for us to interact with it, we have to sort of manifest it, and they allow us to sort of manifest them in a way where we can understand them, where we can experience them. But it doesn't change the fact that their vibration is actually a vibration that starts destroying our 4D experience. So it's traumatic, and it feels like it's killing us on the deepest level. This is why it's so traumatic to us. So in order for us to be able, for us to go to their dimension, which is what I'm focusing on today, there's only one way to do that. And that is by using the heart center as a portal. So I'm going to share with you an experience. I shared a little bit about it yesterday. And this had to have been 30 years ago. And I was practicing the Maoshan 5-element practices. And this was back when I was, training for hours a day, every day. And I was a monk, and I was celibate. And at one point, I went on this really crazy diet, and I got down to 145 pounds. I was so skinny that the hip bones were like, if you touched my ass, you would have felt bones there. That's how skinny I was. So I had gone into this very really trying to disconnect from my physical body and connect to my energy. And so this one day I was practicing. And I was practicing the 5-element sets, and I was focusing on the fire set. We're talking about this right here, the maoshan.thunderwizard.com. You can go there to see what I'm talking about. And I was practicing the fire set. The fire set, the fire element has a direct connection to the heart. Those of you who have done the 90-day challenge, the thunderwizard.com Warrior 90-day challenge, you've done those 5-element sounds, meditations, and practices. And you know that the fire element is associated with the heart. So I was doing the fire set over and over and over and over and over for hours. And I was just in this space where I was just buzzing, and my heart center was just going, just like vibrating. And I was just kind of in and out of reality. So I walked up to my apartment. I lived in an apartment at that time. And I walked up to the apartment, and I just went face down on the floor. And I just focused. I just felt this need to focus on this energy that was swirling around in my heart. And then it felt like I was falling asleep. And the next thing I knew, I was in my room at my apartment, and there was another being there. And that being spoke, and the power of the being said my name, and when it said my name, the power of it was so jolting to me. It jolted me back into my body. It was very traumatic. So I didn't know what to make of it then. If I knew what I know now, I would have told myself to go back, lie back down, go back into that state, and do your best to communicate with that being. I didn't know. Nobody taught me any of this stuff. I had heard rumors about it, but my teacher had never experienced it, and his teacher was tight-lipped about it. So if you guys think that these sets just are cute little, martial art energy things, I'm telling you, they are They are shamanic, as Castaneda would call them, magical passes that actually give you access to other dimensions. It may not be the easiest thing to do. Like I said, I spent 6.5 years celibate as a monk, dieting, just living on, just salads and and water for 6.5 years in order to get to that place where I was so I could change my vibration, and I was practicing this stuff hours a day, every day. So I'm not guaranteeing you're going to become a Dr. Manhattan overnight, but if you've been looking for something like that, and for those of you who just come on and watch my channel, you've got to do the practices. So I've given you I've given you a bunch of stuff for free, and I've given you the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. If you really want to get serious about it, you can go up here. And if you really, really want to get serious about it, you can go here, maoshan.thunderwizard.com. So I'm going to give you some practices. I was thinking about how can I give practices to you guys that you can do. Maybe you'll be able to accomplish what I accomplished. So I'll give you a couple of options. So if you are somebody who's practicing the Maoshan, the 5-element maoshan.thunderwizard.com, then here's my suggested protocol. To do the 5-element sets, don't focus on just one. I think it's a good idea to balance them, but follow your instincts and do the sets over and over and over. And you can do them in the set, like do the wood set for a really long time, then do the metal set, then the fire. Or you can do them one at a time. Wood, metal, fire, water, earth. Wood, metal, fire, water, earth. But do it for as long as you want. Don't hurt yourself. The other thing to do is to not be attached. So don't be desperate about it. Don't try too hard. Practice until you really feel the energy, and keep practicing. And then at some point your body will go, okay, I'm done. And then listen to that. And then go directly into meditation. So practice the sets for as long as you want until you can feel it. You can sit down and focus on the heart and focus on that energy. You can do what I did and lie down. I don't recommend lying down on your face like I did, but I was just so out of it. I just sort of plopped face down. But you can lie down on your back. But the thing to do is to breathe, feel the energy, and bring all of the energy into the heart and let it swirl around. The reason why this works is because this Maoshan stuff, the 5-element stuff, it is, in my experience, the only energy technique that directly opens up the shin. Now, that doesn't mean that the heart center can't be stimulated, or that the heart chakra can't be stimulated by other things. We're talking about a specific type of energy, which if we talk about lightning, it creates a portal. We can think of it, the lightning center of the heart, we can think of it as a vehicle. To my knowledge, no other energy practice will create this particular kind of portal. So what we are doing is we're cheating. When you do the movements, the arm movements especially, but when you do the whole movements with the body, you are flipping off little switches that go directly here, not to the Shen, which is the soul, but the lightning energy that surrounds it. And when you do that, you will know the difference. Every single Qigong master that I have taught, who have, they've spent years in Tai Chi or Bagua or Xingyi or, some other type of, Taoist Qigong, whenever I teach them the Maoshan, every single one of them says, I've never felt anything like this before. So we're talking about a completely different kind of energy that unless you physically stimulate it by knowing the specific techniques, it will stay dormant. So that's what we're doing here, and that's what I'm offering to you. This stuff has been secret for a very long time, and to my knowledge, I'm the first person that's publicly just giving it away to anybody who wants it. I don't think that's ever happened before. And I believe that it's important because we are about to enter into a shift. And it is going to be intense. It might even be traumatic. It's certainly going to be very traumatic to the elites. Because the elites, you know, all this stuff that's been happening the past 2 years, the fear, the being lied to, the misinformation, and the medical procedures that have been forced onto people, these are designed to keep you trapped in your physical body. They are doing this on purpose to keep you from shifting. Because if you shift to this interdimensional level, then they lose all of their power. There's a new movie that just came out on Amazon. It's Dr. Greer's latest, I think it's Above Disclosure or something like that. You can go look for it. But some really important information. You know, we have had the technology, cars to drive on water. There have been people who have invented engines that run on water, that separate the hydrogen from the oxygen and then use the hydrogen as fuel, and these people end up being killed. You know, and the reason for that is because, you know, and again, all of those of you Trump lovers out there, and listen, I'm starting to like Trump more and more, but all of those of you out there who, you know, you think that you're on the cutting edge of awareness because you rightly understand that the Democratic Party has now turned into the Communist Party, and that we are being controlled and muzzled and lied to by the deep state. All of that is true. But to not realize that the biggest, most powerful people among the elites, even more powerful than big pharma and big tech, is the petroleum industry. The petroleum industry has been keeping us in the same technological place for over 100 years, because there's no money in you being able to just pour water into your car and being able to drive. They are murdering people. They have technology. The deep state has free energy technology. They're just not sharing it. Anybody who comes up with it, they either buy them off or kill them. So you guys have to understand that, you know, the way that our society works, which is all about, capitalism has morphed into this thing that's untouchable. You know, I don't even want to call it capitalism anymore, because I like the ideas of capitalism that has to do with you going out there and earning through your hard work what you want in life. I believe in that. I believe in creating your own life and going after what you want. So I like that part of capitalism, self-determination. But the line between capitalism and fascism, you know, we've moved over into fascism. By the way, fascism and communism is the same thing. It's the same thing. Fascist, communist, same thing. Because you end up with an elite that has all the power. And we end up being, you know, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the World Health Organization, which, by the way, is not an elected body. It is supposedly a non-profit entity that is here to serve you. The World Health Organization has come together and is literally following the commands of Bill Gates. And they have already decided, they just, without your permission, they went and decided that they were going to start creating laws, and they were going to start telling different governments around the world laws. They're going to start creating laws for the world, and they're going to start punishing people that don't do what they say, and they're going to reward people who do what they say, and the reward is going to be this social credit. This is coming. These people, I keep running into myself this delusion that, oh, this past plague is dying out, so now we can get back to normal. But they have, they're planning the next plague. They're planning the next. They're 3 plagues ahead of us, and all of these introduced emergencies. I have to be careful of what I say. All of these manufactured, created emergencies, health emergencies, and the corresponding lockdowns and mandates and laws are about one thing. They are about shifting the energy of your body to stay in this 4D plane so that they can keep making money off of you. That's the only thing this is about. The reason why the deep state does not want you to know, number one, that they have advanced technologies that to us look like aliens, which they're not. The reason why they don't want us to know that is because they've already found free sources of energy that don't need petroleum. That's the big thing. They don't want you to stop using petroleum. They don't want you to stop burning coal. They don't want that. Because the moment that you are able to create your own energy, you are no longer a source of money to them. But when this shift occurs and people start to see and experience multi-dimensions, then we will be able to download this information ourselves, and we will no longer need a government or utilities company or the petroleum companies to control our lives. This whole war in Ukraine is about what? Gas, oil, and other things that if we were able to tap into pure free energy, there would be no need for Russia to go to war against Ukraine. There would have been no need for us to go into Iraq. There would have been no need for any of that. All of the wars that we fight are all about control over petroleum and other things. So this latest false medical scenario that's been going on is designed to put you in a position where they can actually change your DNA in ways I can't talk about, so that you will stay in this mindset, which keeps you in the 4D. So, I am here giving you free alien technology. It's called the Maoshan Spirit Fighting Practices and the Meditations, and you can go up here to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. You can do the Maoshan practices, or you can do the free stuff. I don't care. You can do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong. If you don't know what that is, you can just search for it. You can look for it on my channel in the playlists. You can do also all of the other energy practices like the Heaven Earth Qigong meditation. I teach you that for free on this channel. I teach you the Thor's Hammer Qigong. You can do all of that stuff. You can go get the Celestial Qigong streaming. You can do all those things. And all of those things now, I realize that 12 years later, after 12 years ago, I released Celestial Qigong and got kicked out of the sect I was in. My teacher got so upset with me because I was giving out information. And for whatever reason, he didn't like that, even though he gave me permission. So there it is. So that's what I'm recommending that you do. If you practice the Maoshan, You can do the element sets for as long as you need to, then lie down, focus on the heart. If you fall asleep, see if you can go into a lucid dream. Try to stay awake. If you're doing the 90-day, and you're not doing the Mao Shan practice, but you're doing the 90-day lightning Qigong, you can do the 5-element postures and the 5-element meditations. Do those over and over again, and then lie down, focus on your heart, try and bring all that energy into the heart and swirl it around. If you fall asleep, see if you can have a lucid dream. If you're just a freebie and you're on the channel and you're not subscribed to anything, you're 10 years old, or for whatever reason you don't have money or you don't want to spend money, then do the Awakening the Immortals Qigong for as many times as you want. Just do it over and over and over until, again, don't hurt yourself, but do it over and over until you feel a lot of energy, and then lie down, focus on the heart, swirl it around. You can tell I'm giving you different options, but the point is to do this Mao Shan practices, any one of them that stimulates the lightning center of the heart, and you'll know it, you'll feel it. Okay? There's other meditations that are coming, but and also have a clear intention. Like if you want to meet with an ascended master, you want to meet with an ultra-dimensional being, you want have a clear intention of what you want. Do you need healing? Do you want knowledge? Do you want wisdom? Have a clear intent on that. That will be helpful. And ask, whatever you want to do, but have a clear intention. And other things that you can learn, if nothing happens, that's okay. If you just get a good feeling and you feel the energy, then another thing to meditate on is how you can get out of the trap. So what are some of the things that keep you stuck in your intellect? Fear. That is why I am so ruthless with you when I see you guys doing anything that operates from a victim mentality or from a fear-based mentality, and a lot of you don't even know you're doing it, so I don't judge you. But your assumptions are based on you're a tiny person in a huge universe and things are happening to you. I got on somebody's case yesterday because he wanted to go back in time and change his birth time so he could have a better astrology, and I got upset about that because it operates from the assumption that he's just this tiny helpless creature, and if only things outside of his control were different, then he would be, he'd be happier. And that kind of mentality is associated with fear, self-directed negativity, feelings of insecurity. I don't judge you for having these feelings, but it's important to not empower them. You may not be able to change your feelings. If you can't change your feelings, you can change your actions. So if you don't know what a individuated, healthy, self-reliant, self-confident person, you don't know what that feels like, you ask yourself, how would they act? And then you act like them. The actions will change your vibration. Just like when you do the sets, when you're doing whatever I'm teaching you how to do, when you do the physical movement, it shifts and changes the energy in your body, and that has the ability to shift and change your mind and help you to disconnect the tyranny of your intellect. Your intellect is a fascist. It should be your servant. Your intellect should only serve you to function on this 4D level. That's it. It shouldn't control your life. But what the deep state wants you to do is it wants you to function only on your intellect, which feeds off of fear, insecurity, because the intellect is based on interacting with a limited universe. And when you live in a universe of multi-dimensions, you're no longer limited. So this thing only works here. You can't take it with you to other dimensions. And there's a strong addiction to it because we think by thinking we can control. So many people, you hear me all the time talking about people, well, if I control my thoughts, can I use my thoughts to make this happen and manifest this? And I say, no. You have to be, in order to be in that state, you have to be in a place where you are simultaneously surrendered to the multiverse. When you surrender to the multiverse and you go with the flow of the multiverse, it then obeys you. But the moment you try to dominate it, you lose it. So to be in that state, for us human beings, it's like walking a tightrope. For those other multidimensional beings, that's just normal. They have to work to get into our, they have to limit themselves to manifest in our world. But for us, it's like walking a tightrope. We have to be completely surrendered. And that surrender at the same time gives us mastery. But when you try and master things, you lose it. As my teacher said, you want to be nothing. You go from nothing to something back to nothing. You want to be back at nothing where you're surrendered to the energy. This isn't a mental process, it's an energy process. So do the practices, whichever ones you have available to you. Let the feeling of the energy, you want to connect to the vibration of the energy and then surrender to that vibration. And when you do that, other dimensions will unfold. I remember the first time, my first class, when I went to the Maoshan and I was working with my fellow student, and I got there. He was telling me how to let go of the muscles and all that, and I finally got it, and I knew, it was a split second, I knew I could walk through the wall. And then the moment I realized that, my brain says, that's impossible, my intellect kicked in, and then I felt myself come back into my body. So, there you go. Those are the practices there. I hope that makes sense. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any. This is a question and answer. Please, I want your questions or your feelings. Those are the only two things I want. Those are the best way to interact with the Ascended Masters as well. You go around telling these ultra-dimensional beings what reality is there, you're going to lose it. So you're going to lose me if you do anything other than ask a question or share a feeling. And I will do my best to be helpful. So, Thundra says, hello, Mahadeva. You can go to her website, thundra.thunderwizard.com. She is one of my astrologers. She's a certified astrologer in my type of astrology, and she has other stuff that she does. So go check out her website, Thundra, thundra.thunderwizard.com. And then let's see, we've got vincent.thunderwizard.com, and you can see all the stuff that he offers if you look in the chat there, and you can go to his website, vincent.thunderwizard.com, also one of my astrologers. And then Ganunga Greg, you can go to his channel. So Ganunga Greg, tell us what your channel is. Is that it? Ganunga-Greg? He says, Castaneda called it the assemblage point. That's a great phrase, because that point, according to Castaneda, wherever your assemblage point is where you assemble your reality. And I believe the basics of what he teaches, the specifics of it, he's making stuff up, but the basic tenet of it is absolutely channeled information. So go check it out. The assemblage point. Try and remember that. And Ganunga Greg says he's still reading the Carlos Castaneda books on his channel. So you can go check out his channel if you want. I don't know who this is. Tavadiyal Tripura Sundari Rati Devi. Question. I do Awakening the Immortals every day, and I have said, if there's anyone from my ancestral heritage that wants to work with me, let me know. And nothing is happening. What am I doing wrong? Who said you're doing anything wrong? And who says that they're not working with you? That feeling that you have that you're doing something wrong is actually working against you. It's coming from a state of limitation and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I understand where you're coming from. But part of what you do is you also have to have the mindset of, and you owe me nothing. If there are any ascended masters out there that want to work with me, I'm open to working with you, and you owe me nothing. And I may not know how you're working with me. You have to have that mindset, because you may not know. They may be working with you, but you might have a specific idea. Well, if I say that, they're going to manifest and they're going to give me a magical ring, and then I'll you may have ideas about what's supposed to happen. And I've asked that same thing many times, and I've experienced nothing happening. So, don't get too attached to the outcome. The mindset is what's important. So, and you don't know. Here's the thing, this is well known in Vedic. You understand Vedic, I can tell by your name. Hang on one second. I know you understand Vedic philosophy, that, and when it comes to mantra, there are some mantras, they say that you have to do it, 125,000 times, and then when you do it enough times and do it perfectly, then the god or goddess will appear. So you've done the Awakening the Immortals. Now, I've come to the conclusion that there isn't a set number of repetitions for mantra. They say 125,000 times, but that may be for somebody else. For some person, it might be once. For somebody else, it might be 50 million times. So you don't know how many times it's going to take for you to do it before something happens. So the idea is just to surrender to the practice. You have a hope and a desire and a request. Put the request out there and then leave it alone. They are free beings. They can do whatever they want. They don't owe you anything. And, you may not be ready for what they have yet. So by doing the practice, you are changing your vibration. You're changing your awareness. You're getting closer and closer to the goal. And you may not have any idea what you've accomplished. One thing that you will be doing without fail is that by doing that practice with the intention of wanting to meet the immortals and learn, just by doing that, you are raising the vibration of every other conscious being in the universe, including the ascended masters. And this is really what's most important. So keep doing it. You're not doing anything wrong. Just hasn't happened the way that you want yet. And just be patient. Don't be attached. And, that's how to make it happen. Okay, let's see. That's not a question. All right, so Philip Church, look, I don't want to get into this, and I really want all you guys to drop all the political nonsense. I really don't want to get into that kind of a discussion or a debate or any of that stuff. Just use what I'm saying generally to help you understand it's not about 4D human governments. Can we just leave it at that? Because this whole thing of this guy says this and this party says that, and when we start doing that, we get bound up in the crap and we divide each other. And let's just drop all that. Okay, I don't want to do that stuff with you. What else? But I agree with what you're saying there. So my apologies for reacting. It just really don't. I mean, I'm never going to vote again. Never going to vote for any government ever again. Kim B, honest feeling. I am filled with joy to see how far you've come on your search for the truth. Wow. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Gununga Greg's channel is Gununga Greg. GINNUNGA-Greg. So go check it out. He reads Castaneda's books. He had told me, but I had forgotten. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I'm extremely excited and geeked out by doing birth time rectifications. I feel I've got a talent for it and it's fascinating to me. I'm looking forward to offering this as a service. That's an amazing service, by the way. I can't tell you how many people come to me and they say, yeah, I was born at 11 a.m. I go, what do you mean? 11:01, 11:15, 10:59? I don't know. My mom said somewhere around 11. It could have been 11. It could have been 11. Could have been 11:30. Well, when you have exact birth time, then you will know. You'll know exactly what nakshatras. I mean, so many things are very important. So that's a really awesome service that you're providing, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Keep it up. Tavadiyal. Honest feeling. I feel thankful for your feedback. Thank you. Rune Shaman question. Is there a certain direction we should face when doing the upcoming eclipse ritual? I'm not aware of one. If there is one, I'm not aware of it. It's a good question, though. Mario Chavez question. What is your most significant life event that helped you snap out of the matrix, lifting the veil? There hasn't been one. It's been a series of events. You know, I mean, I've had, this has been my life, you know, ever since I was a kid. You know, from the moment that I was born at least 6 weeks, maybe 2 months early. I was supposed to die. They, you know, back in the 60s, they did the stupidest freaking thing. They stuck me in one of those fish bowls and pumped oxygen in it. And I didn't get any physical, you know, touching, which is really damaging for somebody's nervous system. One of the reasons I do the Qigong is to heal the damage that my nervous system went through by them shoving me in one of those fish bowls. And I was supposed to die, and my mom was a Christian, so she went to God and said, God, please, you know, let him live. And apparently, according to her, God said, I will, but you keep your hands off. He's mine. And anyway, I survived. Even the doctors were saying, no, he's going to die. And I survived. And then throughout my life as a little kid growing up, I had all kinds of experiences. I had crazy experiences when I was 7. I had a few out-of-body experiences when I was 7. And, you know, then I got involved in drugs and alcohol in high school. And then I had this big conversion experience. And even though I got involved in Christianity, that got me, you know, more towards spirituality. And then I had all these experiences with the Tao, the Mao Shan practices. And I mean, I've had experiences my whole life. So there isn't one. You know, the most recent one has been when I realized that the Pentagon has been feeding to the mainstream media, which I now know is simply the advertising arm of the deep state. That the mainstream media has been showing these so-called alien, UFO videos, and the Pentagon is confirming that they're authentic, which means the Pentagon which is the deep state, the military arm of the deep state, is telling us that UFOs exist, that aliens exist. And they always say, and these ships were chasing either F-15s, or they were chasing naval vessels. And then the first thing they say is, and that we have to wonder if we're safe, if these crafts are hostile. And then all of a sudden we create the Space Force. And when I realized that, I went, oh, holy crap. The government is finally acknowledging that aliens exist, and they're going to create a false war. And it is now, after looking more deeply at it, I find that the videos that they've shown of the so-called UFOs that are following the Navy vessels, those are repurposed human advanced technologies that they're not sharing with us. And many of the videos are faked. I mean, it's just amazing. I found the apps. I was watching some doing some research, and they showed some of the videos, and they said, that's not a UFO. That is an app that anyone can download. It's called UFO Camera. You can download it, put it on your camera, and you can create your own UFO videos, and it's totally faked. So the UFOs videos that they're showing are faked, and I think they do that for two reasons. Number one, they can, so that you're only seeing the human-created UFOs. So like the Tic Tacs and some of the flying saucers and those things, those are made by humans. People who get abducted and go into those kinds of crafts, those are humans that are doing that to you, not aliens. And the other reason that they use these faked videos of UFOs is in case they want to deny it later. They can go, oh, we now at the Pentagon, we have debunked that. Aliens don't exist. They're giving themselves a way out. They're not going to show you the real UFO alien craft because that's going to be different from the stuff that they're feeding us. So they're getting ready to, it's just a continuation of what's been going on for the past 2 years. This past 2 years has been about getting your information, about being willing to have them do experiments on you, to be able to see how well that they can control the whole world, to legislate how they can control you through these non-government entities like the WHO and the FDA. They're using that to take over the world, and then the next thing they're going to do is they're going to say there are aliens coming, they're coming to invade us, and so therefore we're going into lockdown. Therefore you have to get this medical procedure. They might even say something like there's some alien virus from planet Mars and you're going to need protection from that. I mean, that's where this is headed. And it's only going to get worse unless we awaken. So that's been the latest. There hasn't been one that's been more powerful than the other. It's been leading up. The one before that was my red pill moment about in September, however long ago that was, September of 2021. I don't know if that answered your question or not. Moon Priestess question, would you be interested in talking about the moon more, about how it's connected to the mind? I've watched all your videos about the moon and gathered rituals and more. I really enjoy them. Well, that's a good question. I'm currently wondering some things about the moon. You know, let me just say that the David Icke stuff is at the very least incomplete. It could very well be a deep state psyop. But the thing about deep state psyops is that they take truth and then they use it. This is why we need to understand critical thinking. So this whole Saturn moon matrix that the David Icke crowd uses to fill you with fear about the reptilians, which, by the way, they may exist also. They might be. If they do exist, they're part of the deep state. But all of that mindset, there's some truth to it, which is that, you know, this is where astrology comes in. I don't believe any of this came about randomly. You know, I believe that these other beings, if they live on other planets and other solar systems, their planetary bodies have that same kind of effect on them, but they're going to have different planets. It's going to be different energies. Our 9 planets that we use in astrology, not counting the outer planets, these create an energy grid that is part of our 4D alignment. And so Saturn and Moon work together. Saturn is going to be fear on the negative side. Moon is going to be intuition. But the moon can deceive you as well. Your mind can be deceived. If your mind is not rooted and balanced, you know, depending on Rahu and Ketu and other things, then your mind may lead you down wrong roads. So you've already seen, Moon Priestess, me talking about the moon is reflective of the sun, and the sun is the vibration of our soul. So the sun is also seen as a portal to infinity. I mean, it opens up such a huge thing to talk about, but the sun is seen as a portal to infinity, just like your soul is a portal to infinity. And so the moon is the mind. The moon, its function here on this earth, besides, doing things with tides and other things like that, is it reflects the sun. So, I mean, if I stand in the sun for too long, I'm going to get sunburned. If I stare at the sun, I'm going to go blind. But I can stare at the moon forever. I can bask in the light of the moon forever. It's very healing. So it's a way of connecting to the soul, to the intense brightness of the soul. We have this reflective mind, and this is what meditation is. Meditation is flexing the moon, the mind. The true mind is meditation. Anyway, you just asked me to talk about it, so I did. But the reason why I'm saying is that now that I'm looking at this on a whole different level, the David Icke people are right in that the moon was placed there. But it wasn't placed there by evil alien reptilians in order to suck out your life force. It was placed there to influence and give us that ability to connect to the soul in a way that allows us to stay in 4D. Because if we connect directly to the soul, we're going to completely shift out of this 4D universe. And we've chosen to come here. So people are right when they start talking about the moon limiting you and all that other stuff and Saturn and the moon. There's truth to that, except that Saturn and the moon are your best friends in different ways. And if we just got to drop the fear, we got to drop it. I hope I can successfully inspire people to do that. Anyway, so I just babbled on and on based on your question. Kim B question: are you still doing videos on other platforms about stuff you can't talk about here? I started to. I was going to make some videos about Mr. Bill Gates' new book and his videos about it. But to be honest, as I started making them, I didn't like the vibration that it was taking me to. It takes me to a negative place. It takes me to, even though I'm telling you the truth, it takes me to a place of fear and limitation. And, conspiracies are real. But getting all wrapped up in that, again, brings us into that 4D controlled space. And I'm wanting to move out of that. I'm wanting to do more of my Mao Shan practice and get closer to vibrating with my heart. And the truth is that, when I do that, I'm in a space of love and freedom and fearlessness and happiness and joy. And, Bill Gates is a cockroach, And even though the things that he's doing with the WHO and all that is, incredibly destructive, if he's able to follow through with his agenda, incredibly destructive. As true as that is, it's not my problem. My problem is me. And if I focus on empowering me, I empower everybody else. And if we all become empowered, then Bill Gates is just going to be left holding his nutsack, and he's not going to have any power. He only has power when we give it to him. And if I start going off on, in depth on what a cockroach he is, then then I just start bringing myself down. And maybe I will later, but for now, I just want to focus on giving you guys the tools to fly, because that's what I want for myself. What else? Kim B question: if under Western astrology you were born with a yod, I don't even know what that is, in your natal chart, is there something similar to that in Vedic astrology that might make more sense to me? I don't know what a yod is, so I can't answer that question. My suggestion to you is, instead of trying to understand Vedic astrology through Western astrology, why not just seek to understand Vedic astrology? You can also just do sidereal Western astrology. The main problem with Western astrology is the tropical zodiac. It's just a wrong calculation. You can do sidereal. There's plenty of Western astrologers that use the sidereal zodiac, so you can do that. But if you want to understand Vedic astrology, just study it, and then you'll know, oh, that's like this in Western. The way you're doing it is, it's not a fast, productive way. Go ahead and take a risk and start learning Vedic, and then you'll figure out the other stuff about Western that you like. All right, is that it? Nothing else? I don't see anything else here. All right, guys, so I've given you the practices. I'll go over them again. If you're doing the Maoshan practices, do the element sets for as long as you need to until you can feel the energy. When your body says, okay, I'm done, then you can lie down. You can sit down if you want to. Close your eyes, focus on your heart, and feel the energy. Pull all the energy that's in your aura, pull it into your heart, and let it, like mine, for me, it was like swirling around. Let it swirl around, focus it on it, go in. The other thing is I went into my heart. And it was like I went into the tunnel of my heart, and then that opened up a whole other realm. So if you're doing the Maoshan 5-element stuff. If you're doing the 90-day, then do the 5-element postures and the meditations and the sounds. You can do any one or all of those things, get the elements empowered. And then follow that with the Immortals Qigong for as many times as you want, till you feel it in your body or till your body says, okay, I've got enough. And then do the same thing, sit down or lie down, close your eyes, focus on the heart, swirl the energy, and try to go into the heart. Follow that lightning energy into your heart, and then see what happens. Maybe you'll go into a trance, maybe you'll have a meditative state, maybe you'll fall asleep. Sometimes you just fall asleep and nothing happens, and that happens to me all the time too. Nothing wrong with that. If you're a freebie, do the Immortals Qigong for as long, and then follow the same protocol. And then let's see what happens. All right, what else? Okay, I don't see anything else here. All right, so no other questions. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. As always, I have nothing but respect and love for all of you. If I didn't tear anybody apart today, but if I ever do or say anything that hurts your feelings or offends you, understand that what I'm doing is I am trying to wake you up to the power that you have. I get annoyed when you show a lack of power, a lack of belief in yourself. That annoys and upsets me. So take everything that I say with the understanding that I want you to have as much as I have and go beyond me. That's what I want for all of you. So that's it. All of the links are here for you again, courses.thunderwizard.com. All of the things that I offer, my books, things like that, thunderwizard.com, and then maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Check it out. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. I will see you when I see you. Let's see, what is this?